Hi everyone, welcome to the third devlog for my farming RPG that I'm developing called Sundermead. Over the last month I've implemented some pretty critical features into the game. The first thing I'll be talking about is the new fishing system, which was the most recent thing I've added. So how it works is, you equip your fishing rod and you hold the left mouse button to begin casting your line. A little power bar will show up to determine how far your line will go. If this power bar is below 25%, it will be cancelled. Once the line is cast, you have to wait for a little bit, and then eventually you'll be notified with a little ding and an exclamation mark above where the end of your fishing line landed. After about half a second, you'll automatically begin reeling in, but the fish will try to escape, so you have to control it. You do this with your mouse, and the aim is to keep the fish as near to the centre of the screen as possible. If the fish goes off screen, you'll lose it and you'll have to recast. At the moment it's very easy to catch fish, but once I add player leveling, I'll make it harder and have it get progressively easier based upon the player's level. The fish movement is done using Perlin noise, and each fish has a couple of different properties that will determine how difficult it is to catch. The first is fish difficulty, which determines how much it will move, and the second is fish speed, which, as I'm sure you guessed, determines how fast it will move. I've also made it so the fish you catch is determined by the depth of the water you're fishing in and the type of the water you're fishing in. So if you're fishing in a lake, it'll be freshwater, and if you're fishing in the sea, it'll be saltwater. This system was done by casting a bunch of rays in a circle around the player. If any of the rays hits nothing, then we're fishing in saltwater because it's like the endless expanse of the sea. But if all of the rays hit something, then we're fishing in a lake or freshwater. I ended up making a fish database for this that I can query to get a list of fish with a given set of properties, so water type, minimum depth, player level for when I eventually implement that. As of right now, I have 12 fish in the game. These are carp, catfish, cod, salmon, herring, mackerel, plaice, sea bass, sole, sturgeon, trout and tuna. Since Sundermead is supposed to be in Northern Europe, I've tried to keep the catchable fish in this region. Next came the boats. This was pretty simple actually, since I already had an interaction system built into the game. There are 3 boats currently, a standard boat, a silver boat and a gold boat. The better the boat, the faster it is and the more easily it will handle. To use the boats, you can go forward and back using W and S, and turning is as simple as looking in the direction you want to go. You don't get the boat by crafting it though, but instead, you get it from an NPC called Farman, which leads me perfectly onto the next feature. But first, if you're enjoying this video so far, please leave a like and a comment. Any interaction really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Also, go and wishlist Sundermead on Steam, and join my Discord server for leaks and announcements about alpha tests in the future. And now, back to the good stuff. The NPC system was one of my original ideas for this game. The concept was that you've been sent to Sundermead and you need to build a community using this NPC system. From there you'd invite different characters over, each with different personalities, traits and trades. I also wanted them to have full daily routines, have some be vendors, some be quest givers and some be both. And to top it all off, I wanted them to be able to interact with each other too. The problem was that I'd been stuck on how exactly players would invite them over. First I thought I could have some sort of book or log where you'd keep track of who you've invited and who you can invite, but I thought there was already too many UI menus in the game. So after a lot of contemplation, I decided the best way would actually be through other NPCs. So for example, this guy here, Farman, he's a shipwright. Back where he came from, he was friends with a blacksmith, so at some point during his quest line, he'll suggest that, maybe you should invite my friend the blacksmith over. He can upgrade your weapons and armor and so on. I like this a lot because it means players have to invite and interact with characters to get even more characters. The next problem was, how do we get Farman to Sundermead? After some thought, I decided that at relationship level 4 with the gods, invite shipwright will pop up as an option in the summoning stone. The output of that will be his bed, which you place down and then after a few nights he'll appear. And the last problem I had to deal with was the fact that players would probably just place beds in the open and have NPCs live outside, at the mercy of the elements. Obviously we don't want that, so I made some conditions. The first is whether the bed has to be in a structure. This works the same way as the water type detection I mentioned in the fishing system. The next was whether or not it needed to be near water, so for Farman, since he's a shipwright, it does. This would also be the case for the fisherman character I intend to add in the future. Here's a list of characters I'm going to add over time, but if you have any ideas for characters, please let me know in the comments. To implement the NPC's AI, I used an open source behaviour tree library called Fluid Behaviours. The link for that's in the description. Unlike other behaviour trees, this one is done entirely via code, but you can still view a GUI graph for it. The main reason I chose this was because it allows for the splicing of trees, meaning I can have a standard tree that all NPCs follow for going to bed and waking up, and then I can insert specific trees for specific AIs. Finally, I'm going to briefly go over the save system since someone asked about it in the last video. So the game will automatically save every night when you go to sleep, and you have to go to sleep else you'll pass out at 2 AM and respawn at your bed. It'll still save if you pass out though. Because Sundermead is an online co-op game, I also needed a way to handle that. I personally found the simplest solution to be the best. This is to only save on the server or host and keep the save file there, and then send any relevant information to clients when they connect. The save state is just a big object that stores information on players, entities, dates, and so on. When the save runs, it converts whatever data we need from the world into this object, serializes it into a JSON, and then compresses it. There are two files that it outputs. The first contains the wild data that I just mentioned, and the second is terrain data, so any edits you make to the terrain will actually get saved. And that's it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one.